How was it that it occurred to me to write my first book, RReal Bandits? As the author, I initially wanted to name it Gordo Villarreal. However, I decided upon RReal Bandits, limited edition, Gordo Villarreal. This history involves many adventures through the experiences of several people. I had been in prison for more than 9 years. In October 2020, because of COVID-19, we had more than 3 months of partial confinement, with the only movement throughout the day was controlled moves to the dining hall. At 8 o'clock in the morning, with Mrs. Holloway, a prison guard, arrived. She kicks my bed and yells,
"Get up and remove everything that obstructs your bed."
I woke up in a bad mood, argued with her and said a lot of bad shit. That day turned out to be very bad for me. Because of my attitude and behavior, I ended up alone in a cell. We call this segregation, or as we say here in prison, the hole. It is a cell 10 feet wide by 20 feet long, where we only have a shower, toilet, and a sink, all in the same place. We also have a desk, and the bed is 3 feet wide by 6 feet long, with a very thin mat. Much so that you are literally sleeping on the sheet of the structure. Already being in the hole, I decided to take the bull by the horns. I relaxed and started reading action and fiction books. I read so many stories in 35 days, more than 27 books. From 8 a.m. when I woke up, I read until 12 a.m. I read until lights out. At that time, my mother and several relatives had the famous COVID-19. For this reason, I was going through very difficult times, wondering if I should continue this life as a delinquent. At that point, I decided to start writing. Out of all the books I read, none of them had the action that only I could imagine. So, going through those turbulent times in my life, being in the hole with the half of my family suffering from COVID-19, the great idea was born. As an ex-drug dealer and seeing men like El Chapo, Mr. Ociel, and many others, like Benjamin Arellano, have books, why couldn't I? I thought that all these books were missing several things. For example, most are written by tabloid authors who have no idea of the reality of the life of a drug trafficker. They think our lives are easy, but in reality, it isn't. None of the books are illustrative. So I decided to use my imagination and began to write a story using my experience as a former hustler. Many people will think that these are pure lies. To be honest, although my book is fiction, the truth is that it is not even a small part of what the real traffickers do, nor the so-called cartels. I'll tell you something that this is a very true saying. The truth supersedes fiction. Now, at the beginning of 2022, after more than a year and a half working, writing, and editing this book, with the blessing of God, it will be to the taste of all my future readers. I hope you will enjoy reading these RReal Bandit stories, as I share a part of my life in a most natural and profound way. Sincerely, your humble servant, Amando Villarreal.